The King of England, King Edward VIII, wanted Germany, Nazi Germany, to bomb England to help bring about the end of the war. That was something that people probably didn't know at the time, that now is coming up in documents by Karina Urbach in a book that she's published as she's found documents. She's trying to connect the dots here. Now, this is the king who abdicated the throne because he wanted to be with the woman that he loved. He gave up being the king and went back to being the Duke of Windsor. Now, Elliot, it's well known that he's been said to have Nazi sympathies during the 1930s.
Correct.
What's not known is that he was trying to encourage Germany to bomb England, to bomb them into submission. This comes as a bit of a shock. Now, Karina Urbach, the author, research fellow at the Institute of Historical Research at the School of Advanced Studies, said this: over the past 8 years, I have accumulated damning evidence by sifting through 30 archives all over the world that are open. Intelligence reports and German, Spanish, and Russian documents show members of the British royal family were indeed far closer to Nazi Germany than has previously been recognized. This is not, brand new news. Right. This connection, of course, the royal families are connected, and this is, they changed their last name to kind of get away from the German association.
Correct. Yeah, I mean, but this in and of itself, the specifics that she then outlines and details are new, and the lengths to which he was encouraging them to not only just, as you said, not just be sympathetic to the cause or to be an admirer, which we've known about, but the lengths to which he actually wanted to, he was actively encouraging them to bomb is just, it just floors me.
Now, the documents pertaining to the royal family of England and Nazi Germany are kept under lock. They're not really made available. So she's had to dig through other countries' vaults of secure documents to find certain things, and one of those being Spain. And there was a Spanish diplomat who said that he was in contact with the Duke of Windsor, who suggested that he pass on some information to Franco, who would then pass it along and to the German government, saying, it's okay, go ahead and bomb us. We want to get this over with. That the Duke was trying to set up some sort of alliance with Germany against the Soviet Union, and
I mean, at the behest, obviously at the behest of Churchill, at the behest of the ruling government at the time, at the behest of everybody. The fact that he's trying to do secret deeds. One thing to have sympathies, as abhorrent as that may or may not be, but it's one thing to have those privately held views. It's quite another thing to be actively encouraging the Nazis to bomb your own country just to get it over with.
Yeah.
Going behind Churchill's. I mean, Churchill got rid of him, didn't he? Churchill actually pushed him out, and he was holed up in the Bahamas for the duration of the war, one suspects, because of these views that he held that were being detrimental to the cause.
Right, because even after he abdicated and as he was the Duke of Windsor, he was still carrying on these back-channel communications. Karina Urbach goes on to say this: the Soviet intelligence services were convinced of the Duke of Windsor's treachery. When war broke out, it's probable that they had an informer on his staff. In 1940, they reported that he was conducting negotiations with Hitler to form a new English government and conclude a peace with Germany contingent on a military alliance against the USSR. So she's saying this straight out. And it's...
I'm not surprised that these documents have not been made available by the British government or the British authorities. Just to contextualize it and to modernize it for people, I'm not going to say anything new here, but Prince Philip, current Prince Philip, is known to have, I'll just say it straight out, Nazi sympathies, if not admiration for Hitler. He's saying things like this, well, he made the trains run on time. Yeah. So there is a lineage there, so it's not surprising that they've tried to keep these documents secret. So it's hats off to her for foraging and discovering these things and exposing it.
Yeah, and the book, if we can bring up the title of the book on screen here, it's called
Go-Betweens.
Go-Betweens for Hitler. And what they're referring to is one of the royal family who was actually living in a German castle, who was known to help the Germans in the early days during the original beer hall putsch in hid some of the early Nazis from getting sought after they tried to overthrow the government, and hid them, and he was rewarded later by Hitler by a position in the military, and used him as a back channel communicator with the Duke of Windsor. And I find it shocking. I personally don't even understand the whole royal family thing in the first place. I don't understand, the whole idea of, picking a family and just letting them have everything in the world. But this really, really, wow. He asked the country to be bombed, and shortly afterwards, bombing ensued.
Right, and the Blitz happened. Right.
Yeah. So are you shocked? Is this something like, yeah, of course, we knew that? Or do you believe it at all? Let the comments commence. We appreciate you subscribing to the Lib TV.